At the beginning of this year, I did a thing. I quit my full-time job. And this is not just any kind of job. It's a very high-paying job. It's the highest paying job I've ever gotten. The job many of my friends had begged me to help them get. I just up and quit. I've had many of my friends ask me, why, Imo, why quit? The job pays well, it meets your needs. Are you sure you won't regret this down the line? Many of my friends are asking, how will you pay your bills? How will you survive? So what's the plan now? And just before I quit, I did not have answers to these questions because I had not lived it. But now that it's been a couple months after, I have answers to these questions. And I'm thinking, okay, everyone's been asking me this question, so hey, why not share it? Maybe you watching this video have been thinking about quitting your job but unsure on how to go about it. Or maybe the only thing that is keeping you in a job that you absolutely hate, trust me, I know that feeling, is that you need to pay your bills. Or maybe you're a mom like me and you feel like your work is taking from you, taking away time from your family, taking away time from your kids. Maybe you would like to know how you can conveniently quit your high-paying job and still be able to pay your bills. Or maybe you're just curious, you found this channel, you found this video on YouTube and you just like to know about this lady who says she's quit her job and how she went about it. Then this video is for you. Like you, I've watched tons and tons of YouTube videos about people discussing how they quit their job, but no one gets to tell us what happens after. I mean, I understand that you've quit your job, but how are you able to survive? How are you able to pay your bills? What's life after quitting your job like? And I find it quite frustrating that many people will not share in on this detail, but today I'll be letting you in on the good, the not so good, my struggles, my tips for quitting, and how you can go about it just in case you've been thinking about it. Now, I've divided this video into two. In the first part, I'll be sharing the 5 reasons why I quit. And in the second part, I'll be sharing how I'm able to survive financially after quitting my full-time job. So grab your coffee and let's get in on the gist. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Imo and thank you for joining me today. Today I will be letting you in on a little bit about me. So let's just get right into it. And let me start by discussing the 5 reasons why I quit my job. The first reason I quit my job was because I was just tired. Now, let me give you a little bit of context relevant to this story. I finished nursing school in 2020 and I started working as a registered nurse almost immediately. Oh, my first few months were horrible. And when I mean horrible, I mean horrible. It wasn't just the nursing practice. It wasn't even the nursing practice itself. It was the place I worked. My goodness, we were given horrendous workloads. The environment was toxic. And the worst thing about it was that management didn't seem to care. And they made it very obvious. It just never bothered them that nurses and staff were not happy. And I'm sure many nurses can relate to this. I'm usually not a crier. If I cry, or if you see me crying, it means something is really, really wrong. But when I was working at that place, I just cried. On many occasions at work, I cried from exhaustion. I cried from being so tired. I worked like a horse. Sometimes I'll get home and just go to bed straight. I'd not be able to get out of bed. I'd just lay in bed, exhausted, miserable, crying. So this went on for about 8 months. I could not take it any longer. I was drowning. So I quit and got another job. Now, I got a new job. It was better compared to the former job. We were staffed better. We had good patient-RN ratio. The job paid well, especially during COVID. And I liked it. I was really happy. But COVID ended and the job stopped paying well. In fact, I almost could not pay my bills with what I was earning. Now, this had more to do with my employment choice, something I'll talk more about in a while. So, COVID is over. I like my job, but I don't like my pay. What do I do? Of course, get another job. Now I got another job. This is the third job now. A very, very high paying job. And if you're thinking 130, 150, the job was paying even higher than that when you include all the bonuses and compensation. The job was right. But you know there's always a but. It started to change me in ways I did not like. So let's give a little bit of context to this. Just in case you don't know, healthcare in America is one of the most dangerous profession because of healthcare violence. Now, healthcare violence, there was a lot happening in this place I was working. Other staff got beat up on a regular, like really beat up. My colleague had scratches and bruises and scars from encounter with patients. Now, it wasn't as much as the violence that was a turner for me because with our patients population, it was to be expected. We had a lot of homeless patients, we had drug abusers, mentally ill patients. So really the violence was almost to be expected. But that wasn't what my issue was with. My issue was with how this violence was being managed. It just felt like staff, especially nurses, were treated like we were nothing. Like our lives and our overall well-being wasn't a priority, like we did not matter. A colleague of mine was physically assaulted one time, and the first question her manager asked her is, what could you have done differently? Like, hello, I just got beat up here and you're asking what I could have done differently? Now, after working there a couple months, I started to become this version of myself that I disliked. I started to complain. I was fearful for my life. I was fearful for the life of my colleague. Like sometimes when I'm going into some patient's room, I'll literally start getting anxious. I'm never an anxious person, but then I start getting anxious. I'm watching all over myself. I'm hoping no one gets hurt. Now, I spoke to my management about this, and it was obvious nothing was going to change. It was like a take it or leave it situation. And there were only two choices for me. Things had to change or I had to walk away. It was obvious nothing was going to change. So for my mental health and for my sanity, I knew there was only one thing to do: walk away. So after 6 months, I left. I left my high-paying job because I was just exhausted. I was done. I was tired of it all. I mean, apart from the fact that I had to drive 1 hour to and 1 hour from the place every day, I was just tired. I was tired of having to complain. I was tired of being treated like I did not matter, like my life did not matter. I find caring for my patient very fulfilling, but it just stopped being so. I was mentally, physically, and emotionally stressed. Mental health concern. This job was toying with my mental health. The second reason I quit my high-paying job was because that was what was within my control. I could not control how patients would treat me or how management would respond to how everything was going on. But what I could control was choosing not to put myself in that situation. I had a choice to either remain there, hopeful to not get harassed or abused, or I could just make certain that never happens. Nothing was going to change, so either I dealt with it or I walked away. The third reason I left my high-paying job is because the pursuit of money never ends. Now, the major reason I applied to work in that place where I almost got beat at was because of the pay. Of course, I love being a nurse, but if I'm being entirely honest, I could be a nurse anywhere, work at any hospital close to my house. I chose that place for the pay, period. So at some point, I had to ask myself these questions. Is it always going to be about the money for me? Is the money, is it really worth my life and mental and emotional health? Because if earning more and more is my goal, then I'll keep working at places like I was, and even worse places if the money is right. Is this the life I wanted? Is financial gain enough to compensate for my life and my poor mental health? Plus, as humans, we will never be satisfied. The more we have, the more we will always want to have. This is why I have colleagues that are 60, 65 and still working. This is why people still working until they are 70. Where do we draw that line? When is enough ever going to be enough? I had to have a serious sit down with myself and state my priorities in life. Because if money is my only goal, then yes, I am on the right track of earning a lot. But if my overall well-being, my happiness, my health and family are of higher priority, then perhaps I needed to change course because the road I was taking was not going to get me to my goal. I decided that my overall well-being was of topmost priority, and so I walked away. Plus, working crazy is not going to make me a millionaire. Employers are not trying to make me a millionaire. What they are trying to do is make millions out of me while working for them. The more I work, the more I'll keep working. The fourth reason I left was because my work-life balance was suffering. If I am being honest, my former job only hastened me quitting my job. I reckon that regardless of where I worked, I would probably have quit full-time eventually. Now, if you followed my story, you heard me say that when my kids were as little as 4 months, ever since, this mom guilt thing has been driving me nuts. Many times, I just felt like I was trading the time I should be spending with my kids for money. Because that was really literally what I was doing. Oh, I would be so guilty, especially those times when I am so exhausted and unable to spend quality time with them. Because when you're tired, you're just physically present. You're not really there. You're not having quality moments. During COVID, I worked some crazy shifts. I would feel so guilty, and the guilt would lead me to buy crazy stuff, expensive things for my kids. There was a time I put $1,000 worth of gifts in the cart, and I was really going to buy it for my kids because I was feeling that guilty. You know you have a problem when you're willing to spend over $1,000 for your kids that are just asking you to spend a quality time with them. You just know you have a problem. Well, I know I did. Children need their mom. I'm so thankful that I have a supportive husband who cares for the children, but it can never, ever take the place of a mom. When I spend quality time with my children for a period of time, you can always tell the difference in their manners, in their attitude, in their feeding, and so on. Before quitting my full-time job, I would always make sure I squeeze in all the time I had to spend with the boys, but I always knew it was not enough. I knew I wanted to give my kids and family the best part of myself and not what was left after a stressful day at work. Unknown to many of us, that's what we do. We give the best part of our energy and time to our employers, and the remnants we leave for our families. I quit my full-time job because I knew if I wanted to have a say in how my kids will turn out, now is the time. I will never get this time back. They are 6 going on 7. Now I have the opportunity to train them in the ways of the Lord. I will always have the opportunity to make my money, but I will never get this time back with my kids. Once they're 12, 13, they would have made up their minds about who they want to be, and then by that time I wouldn't have much say in how they turn out. I had to quit my job because I knew I could live with myself and not being a millionaire, but I knew I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing that I did not give my best to my children and my husband. And so I quit to spend more time with my family, and I can tell you this past few months have been the most fulfilling for me. My kids are driving me crazy, but it's a good crazy. It's a satisfying crazy. I am enjoying this new balanced work life. So let's get into the 5th and final reason I quit my job. The 5th reason I quit my job was to find my calling and purpose. I am a Christian, and I believe God has called me to a higher purpose than money. Before I joined this crazy lifestyle, I wrote 2 books. There's 2 books here. But ever since I started working, I have not written a line since. I also used to be a life coach, motivational speaker, and doing so many things. But this past 3 years, all I've done is just wake, play with my kids a little, spend some time with my family, go to work, get tired, lay in bed, and repeat the cycle over and over again. Yes, I dabbled into a few things here and there, but nothing I could really sustain because my brain, my body was just burnt out. I was so burnt out. 9 to 5 kgs one's mind. I just felt confined and less motivated. I lacked energy to do anything but just sleep, wake, walk, repeat the cycle. It's been around 4 months since I quit, and it's just been astonishing the way my brain and my mind has opened up this past 4 months. It's been nothing but I'm just so thankful to God. It's amazing how creative the human mind can be when stress is not an issue anymore. My account is not happy, but I am happy. This is the most peaceful, creative. This is the most peaceful, creative I have been in the past 3 years. I felt closer to God. I felt closer to my family, closer to my calling. I am doing all the things I have been hoping to do someday. Now I don't hope, I just do them. I'm absolutely so thankful for this season. Look at me. I'm finally doing YouTube. Haven't put it away for so long. Very stressed from working. Time won't permit in this video to share how I'm able to survive after quitting my job, and you will need to know how to survive in case you're thinking about it. I'll be leaving a link up here so that you can check it out. Do check out this video. All right, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.